Hello everyone, Ryan here. Dad is Fat by Jim Gaffigan. It's an audiobook that I listened to during the month of October, and it's actually pretty hilarious. There's a lot of humorous insights. Jim Gaffigan is mostly known as a stand-up comedian, so in this audiobook he mostly talks about things like what his life was like before he had kids and then also after kids, what his own childhood was like, and then also different, I guess, absurdities that come along with parenthood. And I definitely found myself laughing out loud more than a handful of times while listening to this. Again, definitely very humorous, insightful. Jim Gaffigan pretty much right away makes a lot of just very smart and jokes, and so much so, like, there were so many during certain chapters, there were so many smart jokes that, like, just back to back, and I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, you could definitely tell right away that he does obviously have a lot of experience with telling jokes for a living. And so, I mean, Jim Gaffigan, he does have 5 kids, and he talks about that a lot in this audiobook. Of course, to him, I guess it doesn't really seem that abnormal. I guess because he comes from a big family himself, so. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. For all I know, he could have more than 5 kids now, because when he wrote this book and did the audiobook, I believe it was like almost 4 or 5 years ago. And one of the things I liked they talked about was the fact that how when he was a kid, when he was growing up, when him and his siblings got to a certain age, his parents were perfectly content with just having them roam around outside for most of the day. And then, of course, he talks about how today's kids don't really do that, or aren't really allowed to do that. And then also, too, it's not necessarily because of technology, though that is a factor, but he makes a good point at just pointing out the fact that today's parents, tend to, I guess, adhere to a much more hands-on kind of technique when it comes to raising their kids. And I mean, whereas compared to his parents and then a lot of other people from his generation and other generations, I guess, their parents, for the most part, I guess, didn't really become too involved in their kids' lives. So, yeah, I like that he points that out, and he talks about that aspect of parenthood a lot, and also a lot of different things that tend to occur where they just seem very absurd at certain times. And one thing I like that he talked about how sometimes whenever him and his wife, they're trying to take their kids somewhere, like out to eat or just to a museum or to a park, and he talks about the fact that a lot of the time they have to start getting ready like hours before they're actually supposed to leave, because then usually one of his kids will lose a shoe, and then they spend over an hour looking for the shoe, or they can't find their jacket, or and that was one of the things, just one of the many things that made me laugh out loud while I was listening to this. mostly because I can relate. I mean, not because I don't have kids of my own, but I'm constantly around my sister's kids, my nephews, and so yeah, I know exactly. I pretty much knew everything that Jim Gaffigan talks about in this audiobook. Not only made me laugh because it was pretty hilarious, but also because it's very true, and I've experienced that just by being around my nephews, and so yeah, overall, I mean, I gotta give this 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah. I suppose the only thing that, for me, the only thing that keeps it from being 5 stars is just there's certain things that he just tends to like talk about over and over and over. But then I guess in that sense, that's like his own way of, I don't know, I guess dealing with his own frustrations. Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me. And I mean, I guess to me it seemed like he would talk about a certain thing over and over. Like, I don't know, I guess for me, like, I kind of got tired of him just constantly complaining, I guess. Because there were some chapters where he made a lot of awesome, humorous, very insightful observations, and then other chapters when it just seemed like he was just complaining just for the sake of complaining and just for the sake of venting his frustrations. So, which is understandable. Obviously, you got 5 kids, you're gonna have a lot of frustrations, and how could you not? So, but yeah, I mean, I guess I recommend listening to this or reading the physical book, especially if you have kids of your own, or if you're a new parent, or if you just want to hear about how crazy somebody else's kids are for a slight change. And so yeah, overall I give it 4 out of 5 stars. And that'll do it for my review of Dad is Fat by Jim Gaffigan. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you feel up to it or not. Either way. Yeah. Either way, don't forget to keep on rocking. Keep it real. And peace.